Hey, it's Clayton here from howtodrawcomics.net and bartonbrostudios.com, and in this tutorial we are going to be learning about how to draw noses. First, we'll discuss the fundamental building block formation for the nose, which you need to know about in order to effectively visualize and draw it from a multitude of different angles. And then, in step-by-step fashion, I'll show you how to draw the nose from the front and side views. We'll also cover a few different nose shapes so that you can add a little bit of individualization to your noses. Now, this tutorial is actually part of a larger class that you can access on howtodrawcomics.net and Skillshare, which I've linked to in the description below. So if you'd like to delve deeper into noses and learn more about them, for example, how to draw the nose from the top down, bottom up, and three-quarter views, then I highly suggest you check it out. All right, let's jump straight into it. What I want to introduce you to is more this block formation that I like to think about with the nose. And the reason as to why I would like to show you that first is because for me, it just helps me to be able to turn the nose around in space a little easier, fit it onto the face, and also as the head turns, how the nose actually turns with the head. So here it is. I'm going to just do a little diagram up the top of the page here, just to start out with. But this block formation, it essentially looks a little bit like this. Okay. And you can practice this on its own if you like. It's quite an easy shape to draw. So what it represents is you've got the front of the nose, the front of the bridge of the nose. You've got the underside plane of the nose right here. And then you've got the side walls of the nose, okay? So try to get used to just drawing this very basic, very fundamental block formation of the nose. I'll provide some references for you to take a look at this in closer detail as well. I also add some little divisions around the base of the nose too. Here's how it looks from the front. Again, we've got the underside plane of the nose, we've got the side walls of the nose. And those side walls, you'll notice that they don't just go straight back. If we were looking at the nose from above, say that we had our front plane here for the nose bridge, well, those side nose planes, they actually come out a little bit. Right. Now, you could also add some anatomy to the nose if you wanted to scribble that in there as well, just to know what's going on underneath. And I'll do that right now with just a red pen real quickly. You know, you've got the bulb of the nose here, which is one main piece of cartilage. And then you've got the nostrils, of course, that are also cartilage for the most part. Sometimes you'll see the nostril on the opposite side of the nose here as well. But the rest, these sections here, they're actually bone for the most part. Okay, so you'll notice that the tip of your nose is really squishy, handy for when you have a habit of bumping into walls, and then the rest of your nose is very hard and solid. It's not very malleable at all. Right? And I like to think of the bulb of the nose as it almost looks like an apple that's been divided in half. Then you've got the nostrils that sit on either side of it, and then again you've got the top area. You got the front plane of the nose, and you got the side planes. When we're looking down at the nose, And what you end up seeing for the most part is just the bulb, and you've got the nostrils there too. Now, this anatomy isn't going to be all that defined in the final drawing of the nose that we're going to be demonstrating here today. This is just what's going on underneath the surface so that you know it's there. Right now, if we're looking at the nose side view, and you can practice all of these diagrams as well for yourself, for sure. That'll certainly help you to keep to develop a memory bank of references that you can draw upon when it comes to drawing the nose. If you ever get stuck, this is what these are good for, is that when you do get stuck drawing the nose and you don't quite know what's going on, you can think back to this stuff and you go, oh, okay. Because this is the fundamentals. This is the basic structure of the nose that we just want to keep in mind. Not something that we're going to draw every time that we draw the nose. No, certainly not. But it's something that we can think about, help us out. Okay, and once again, we can draw in the anatomy on top of our block form there. Red to understand what's going on. That's pretty much it, right? So, with that in mind, and this is going to come in really handy later on for when we start to draw the nose from above and from below. And that's when all of this fundamental knowledge and the goings on of what's happening underneath the skin is really going to come in quite handy. Okay, so let's start off with the front of the nose. Now, for me, this is very, very simple. It's like insanely simple. Okay, so if I'm drawing like a male character, I might add in a few more details here, but honestly, let's say that we've got our head drawing and we're at the point at which we're ready to draw the nose. What I'll typically do is I will simply lay in a line at the bottom of the nose. And usually this line is going to sit on the dark side of the nose. And it's describing the bulb shape, right? So you can start with that. And then from there, I draw out one nostril opening. It's a little bit like this. And on the opposite side of the bulb, I draw out another nostril opening, giving us two nostril openings, which indeed we have. And then I'll add in sometimes a little line just to describe the top of the nose bulb. And that's about it. Especially with a female character, usually I'll only define the bottom of her nose. I certainly won't define the bridge or anything like that. However, on a male nose, that is something you certainly can do, or on, more of a creaturely type character where you want to kind of emphasize those details like the cheekbones and whatnot. Certainly. So, sometimes what you might do is add in a little indication of the nose bridge here. And then, describe the nose around the top and the shape that you would be dealing with as it transitions into the underside of the brow. Because at the top of the nose, really what's happening is the nose is merging into the underside of the brow. Right? And that's as complicated as I make it when it comes to drawing the nose from the front. Now, of course, this is assuming that the light source is shining down onto the nose from the left. If it was shining down onto the nose in the opposite direction, then I would simply go ahead and instead define the other side of the nose bulb with a darker line with a single contour. And you can really practice this shape as many times as you want. As I said, it's really just the base of the nose that we're dealing with there. So go ahead and practice this over and over again, repeatedly, until you get it right. And it's hopefully it's not going to be hard for you to memorize. It might be a little difficult to capture the shape you're after. Again, you can swap the area of the nose that you're defining over depending on the direction of the light source. Again, what we're really describing here, if we draw in our underlying anatomy, is the nose bulb with these render lines. We've got the nostrils on either side and this piece of cartilage just below it. Okay, so that's the front of the nose. When it comes to drawing the side of the nose, well, that's also pretty easy as well. I mean, from the side, you could almost simplify it down into a triangle like this. That's probably a little bit too simple. Obviously, we're going to be adding more shape to it, but this is how I would go about it. Now, the other thing that I should mention is that the shape of the nose of a man is significantly different to the shape of the nose of a woman. So we'll start off with a male nose first. Or what would be like a classic idealized male nose? It's going to be fairly straight along the bridge. And then what's going to happen is it's going to jut out a bit at the end. And this is where the nose bulb begins. And what'll happen is it'll lead down into the base of the nose and then back into the mouth. Right now, I'm drawing this at a large scale, so it's going to take me possibly a little bit of tweaking to get it exactly right. So let me start that again. Going to take my previous advice and just keep it looser. Start out with. There we go, that's much better. Okay, so I'll go over the top of that. Defining the nose bridge once again. So again, when I loosen up, it makes such a difference to the finished outcome of my drawing. So it's something I'd highly recommend for you as well. Okay, great. So that's the basic shape that I'd go with for the side representation of the nose. And then, as far as the nostrils are concerned, I don't draw them all the way back here. I draw them fairly close to the front of the nose, in fact, and they actually come back to sit inside the face. Okay, and they look a little bit like this. Again, it's really just three lines that I've used there in order to create the nostril opening. So I think that you're going to get this as soon as you try it out. And then we might add in a little bit of an indentation here where the nostril cartilage meets the bulb cartilage. That's kind of their meeting place right around this area. And then that's it. That is a finished nose, right? Sure, absent of any heavy shadows or rendering, but really you wouldn't want to put any heavy shadows or rendering there anyway. Now let's talk about the differences between a male nose and a female nose and what they're going to consist of. And most of these differences, by the way, you're going to see in the side view. Now, typically a more feminine or female nose or even a younger looking nose that's less matured is going to have more of a curve to it. That's the main difference. It's going to have more of a curve to it. And it's also going to be sitting up a little higher. Okay, so something more like this, I would say. I go over the top of that. you'll notice that it's simply not as straight along the nose bridge. It's much curvier. And it produces a little bit more of a cute look for your character, you could say. You know, it's less chiseled, it's softer in appearance, and overall a less intimidating nose. Okay, once we've got the basic shape established, what we can then do next is lay in the nostril, and that's pretty much going to be the exact same approach that we took previously with the male nose. Just bringing it back to sit inside the face, giving it a nice curve, and hooking it back up at the sides. You can add in a little bit of an indentation, again, where the cartilage of the nostril meets the cartilage of the bulb of the nose, the tip of the nose in that top corner. And then that's it. So that's the front of the nose. Well, actually, let's do an example of how I would draw out the female nose from the front here, just for a moment. Okay, so we'll get rid of this one. And we'll make some space here. Again, for a female nose, as represented from the front, I simply do something along these lines. For some reason, I always place the bulb shadow on the right side of the nose. So I start out with that. I'll draw in the nostril on either side. And then, yeah, that's really all I do. Not a lot more than that. Again, I might add in my little indentation up the top here, where the two bits of cartilage at the tip of the nose meet. But other than that, this whole section where the nose bridge resides, I leave bare until I get to the brow region, where I might add in a little bit of rendering. Okay, so that's really the key differences. Probably this area here is, when I include that, it turns it into more of a masculine looking nose. Thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the tutorial and that you got a ton of value out of it. Now, as I said at the beginning, this lesson is actually part of a much larger class which you can access both on howtodrawcomics.net and Skillshare via the links in the description below. So if you want to delve deeper and learn more about drawing noses from the three-quarter view and the bottom up, top down perspectives, then I highly suggest you check it out. That's it from me. Until next time, keep drawing.